every single time.
ルールにしたんだと。しかも自分で負けを認めるまで決着がつかない耐久戦だ。
何してもいいって。
Okay, we need to talk about that.
Because that wasn't flirting. That was psychological warfare.
Right? She said, that I love you face you made was pretty hot. And he just, boom, game over. But here's what's eating at me. When Yukiya can't admit his feelings, even in a game literally designed for confession, is that self-protection or self-sabotage?
So this first episode establishes the whole premise. Childhood friends Yukiya and Miku have been playing their I love you game for 4 years now. They take turns confessing. First one to blush loses. Except the rules have evolved into this elaborate psychological battle where anything goes.
And we see how it started in 6th grade, with this innocent moment where Miku just blurts out, I love you, while he's gaming. But now it's become this minefield. Every confession is loaded with real attraction wrapped in plausible deniability.
But here's the thing I keep coming back to. Watch how Miku operates in the present-day scenes. She's not just randomly escalating. When she calls his confession face hot, that's surgical precision. She knows exactly what buttons to press.
So here's what we're diving into today. Yukiya's journey from confident game player to terrified romantic. Because somewhere between 6th grade and now, his genuine feelings transformed their innocent competition into emotional torture.
Hold on, though. I think that's only half the picture. The game isn't just torturing him. It's also the only framework he has to express feelings he literally cannot articulate any other way. Let's ground this in what actually happens. The episode gives us 3 key moments that show how trapped Yukiya has become. First, there's that flashback to middle school, where young Miku's confession first made his heart skip. You can see the exact moment this stopped being a game for him.
Then we get the present-day psychological warfare. Miku weaponizing his attraction, calling his face hot, watching him redden, and claiming victory. The rules have evolved way beyond first to blush loses.
And most revealing, when Yukiya imagines what Miku would say if she discovered his real feelings. He pictures her laughing, mocking him, saying, "You actually fell for me?" That fear is driving everything.
Their friends Hinako and Masaru frame this as childhood friends who can't admit to their own feelings, treating it like entertainment, not recognizing the genuine pain underneath. Okay, so let's dig into this the game provides. Because I think Yukiya is using the competition structure to avoid real vulnerability. Every time he says, I love you, he gets to hide behind, it's just the game.
I'd push back on that framing. The game isn't avoidance. It's the opposite. It's the only space where he can say those words at all. Without the competitive framework, Yukiya would be completely paralyzed.
But that's exactly my point. He's so terrified of genuine confession that he needs this elaborate performance structure just to function. That's not healthy emotional expression. That's...
Look at this scene, though. When young Miku first said, I love you, and his heart started racing, she immediately asked, did that get your heart racing? She was already creating the game framework to give him an out.
Huh. You're saying she invented the rules to protect him?
Think about it structurally. Miku is the one who turned it into a competition after seeing his genuine reaction. Let me try again, she says. She's giving him a way to participate without having to acknowledge what just happened.
But fast forward 4 years, and she's deliberately escalating, using physical proximity and sexual tension as weapons. That's not protection anymore. That's manipulation.
What if Miku's escalation isn't manipulation, but frustration? She's trapped in this framework too. The game was supposed to be temporary scaffolding, but Yukiya won't graduate from it.
When he pictures her reaction to discovering his feelings, he imagines cruelty. You actually fell for me? That's not based on anything she's actually said or done.
That's at the heart of this whole setup. He's projecting his own self-hatred onto her. The game has become his excuse to never find out how she'd actually respond.
When I say it's self-sabotage, this is what I mean. He's using the competitive framework to avoid ever taking the real risk. Every I love you comes with built-in protection. It doesn't count because it's just the game.
もしこのゲームがなかったら別の誰かが負けるわけにはいかない。
お冷やです
なのに俺はずっと押されっぱなしでミクに勝つために中3になってからみっちり自分を磨いてきたし背だってやっと伸びてきたのに。
でもおすすめした美容院良かったでしょ。
はい、正直髪型でこんな変わるなんてびっくりしました。ひなこさん、なんでこれでダメなんですか？
The real turning point isn't in the present day at all. It's that middle school flashback. When young Miku says, "I said something super special just now," and Yukiya responds, "Huh? You did?" That's the moment of maximum danger for him.
Because she's trying to break the fourth wall of their game before it's even properly established.
She wants to acknowledge that her confession carried real weight, and he panics. You can see him retreat into, "Why aren't you listening?" deflection. That's when the protective framework crystallizes.
And that reframes everything that comes after. The present-day Yukiya isn't just playing a game. He's defending against that moment of almost honesty that terrified him in 6th grade.
When current Miku calls his face hot and he reddens, she's essentially trying the same thing, forcing acknowledgement of the real feelings underneath the performance. And he's still running from it.
All right, prediction time. I think Yukiya is going to break before the midpoint, episode 6 or 7, and it's going to be messy. He'll either confess for real outside the game structure, or he'll try to end the game entirely. Because this level of emotional tension isn't sustainable.
I'm going a different direction. Miku's going to force the issue first. I think by episode 5, she'll refuse to play by the established rules, either by not saying "I love you" back when it's her turn, or by demanding he acknowledge his real feelings before the game can continue.
That would put the vulnerability burden back on her, though.
But that's been the pattern all along. She's the one who created the framework, she's the one escalating the stakes, she's been managing his emotional availability from the beginning.
You know what? I hope you're wrong about that. Because if Miku has to do all the emotional labor of getting them out of this trap, that's actually kind of depressing.
Fair point. Though it might be realistic. Sometimes one person in a relationship has to be braver about vulnerability than the other.
True, but I still think the show is building toward Yukiya taking that leap himself. The whole premise only works if he eventually outgrows the need for emotional training wheels.
So here's my verdict on our opening question. Yukiya's game playing is both self-protection and self-sabotage simultaneously. It's self-protection that's outlived its usefulness and become self-sabotage.
Yeah, I can accept that. And what makes it compelling is that Miku seems to understand this better than he does. Her escalation isn't cruelty, it's her trying to force him past the need for their elaborate protective framework.
Which means the real question isn't whether he'll confess, it's whether he can confess without the safety net. Because "I love you" in the context of their game and "I love you" as genuine vulnerability are completely different speech acts.
The thing I'm going to be watching for next episode is whether Yukiya recognizes his own projection, that fear of Miku's mockery that exists only in his head. If that's the thread you want to follow with us, hit subscribe. We'll break down whether he starts seeing her clearly or keeps fighting shadows.